Football is a gladiator sport, and every match day, warriors suit up to battle, but some players go beyond the normal level of competition. These are the men who sent shivers down the spine of their opponents. Today on Red Zone Mania, we will be counting down the 10 most feared players in NFL history. These are the legends whose brutal hits, crushing tackles, and fearsome reputations made even the toughest players hesitate before stepping on the field. Ride with me, and let's go. Number 10, Rodney Harrison, also known as the Hitman. Kicking off our list is the Hitman, Rodney Harrison, who didn't earn the nickname for nothing. His job was simple: punish anyone daring to come into his zone. As a safety, Harrison was the last line of defense, but in most cases, he was the first and final reminder of why receivers feared going deep. Harrison's hits were so brutal that they often towed the line of legality, but that never stopped him. While some players feared Harrison for his aggression, others respected him for his football IQ. He wasn't just about delivering the big hit, he knew exactly where to be and when to strike. Receivers and quarterbacks alike had to constantly be aware of Harrison lurking, because if you didn't see him coming, you wouldn't see anything after the hit. Number 9, James Harrison, the human wrecking ball. Coming up at number 9 is James Harrison. When James Harrison stepped onto the field, one thing was guaranteed: destruction. Known for his unmatched power and relentless pursuit of quarterbacks, Harrison was the embodiment of controlled chaos. His ability to deliver bone-jarring hits made receivers and running backs think twice before taking him on. And let's not forget his incredible athleticism. At 6 feet tall and 242 pounds, Harrison could move like a freight train and hit like a sledgehammer. What made Harrison feared wasn't just his physical prowess, it was his mean streak. Whether it was an opposing QB or a wideout going over the middle, Harrison had a reputation for delivering hits that left players thinking about their career choices. His 100-yard interception in the Super Bowl solidified his place as a Steelers legend, but it was his violent play style that made him one of the most feared men in the NFL. Moving on. Number 8, Ronnie Lott, the ultimate sacrifice. What kind of player is willing to amputate part of his finger to keep playing in a game? Ronnie Lott, the ultimate warrior of the NFL. That's who. Lott was known for his punishing hits, especially across the middle, where receivers often found themselves on the wrong end of one of his brutal tackles. But it was his toughness and relentless pursuit of excellence that made him truly feared. Opposing players knew that when Ronnie Lott was on the field, their bodies were on the line. He hit like a truck and never took a play off. Even quarterbacks knew better than to test Lott, who had a knack for reading plays and closing in like a missile. And if there was any question about his commitment to the game, the fact that he chose to have his finger amputated instead of missing a game is all you need to know. The next man on our list is Mean. Number 7, Mean Joe Green, the Steel Curtain. Mean Joe Green was the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers' legendary Steel Curtain defense, and while his nickname speaks for itself, Mean barely scratches the surface of how feared he was by offensive linemen. At 6'4" and 275 pounds, Green was an immovable object in the trenches. His combination of size, strength, and technique made him nearly unblockable, and quarterbacks dreaded the thought of Green bearing down on them. But Green wasn't just a run stopper or a sack artist. He set the tone for physical play, and if you stepped out of line, Green was there to make sure you paid the price. And as much as his soft-spoken off-field persona came out in that famous Coca-Cola commercial, on the field, he was anything but gentle. No one wanted to face Joe Green. Number 6, Lawrence Taylor, the game changer. We move on to the man who redefined the linebacker position and gave quarterbacks nightmares. Lawrence Taylor was a defensive force unlike any the game had ever seen. Not only did he possess the raw power to shed blockers, but his speed was unreal for a man his size. Taylor didn't just sack quarterbacks, he destroyed them. And in a league where offense often stole the spotlight, LT was the defender who made sure they never forgot who was in charge. But what really made Taylor feared was the sheer physical and psychological impact he had on the game. No play was safe when he was on the field. He single-handedly changed the way teams game planned, forcing them to adapt to his presence. And that infamous moment where he shattered Joe Theismann's leg, that wasn't just a sack. It was a warning to every QB in the league. Number 5, Jack Lambert, the Toothless Terror. Number 5 takes us back to the 1970s. If you were an offensive player, Lambert was your worst nightmare. Known for his signature toothless grin, Lambert didn't just play football. He hunted down ball carriers with reckless abandon. Lambert wasn't just feared for his physical play. His presence on the field was enough to strike terror into opponents. Quarterbacks avoided him, receivers feared crossing the middle, and running backs knew that if they didn't brace for impact, they wouldn't be getting up easily. Lambert epitomized what it meant to be a defensive enforcer in the NFL, and that snarl? That was the look of a man who was always one hit away from sending you to the sideline, permanently. Number 4, Ray Lewis, the Lionheart. Next up, Ray Lewis. He was more than just a linebacker. He was a force of nature. His energy was contagious, and his leadership inspired fear and respect from teammates and opponents alike. Lewis was known for delivering punishing blows to anyone brave enough to come over the middle, and his sideline-to-sideline speed made sure that no one escaped his wrath. What set Lewis apart, though, was his ability to intimidate mentally. His pregame speeches were the stuff of legend, igniting a fire under his defense and striking fear in the hearts of opposing offenses. Every time he stepped on the field, you knew you were going to get his best, and his best was pretty damn terrifying. Number 3. Dick Butkus, the Enforcer. If you played against Dick Butkus, chances are you walked off the field black and blue, if you walked off at all. Known as one of the most ferocious tacklers in NFL history, Butkus terrorized offenses in the 1960s and 70s with his bone-crushing hits and relentless pursuit. He had one mission on the field: find the ball carrier and punish him. And when Butkus hit you, you felt it for days. Butkus wasn't just about brute strength. He was also a master at mentally intimidating opponents. He would stare down players, practically daring them to come his way. Most chose not to. Every snap, every play, you had to be ready for a Butkus collision, and no one ever was. But if there's one other player who could rival Butkus in sheer intimidation and destructive power, it's the next player on this list.
I want to just let them know that they've been hit, and when they get up, they don't have to look to see who was that hit them.
Well, I look straight ahead. Here's the man that you fear most in football staring you right in the face. What he said to me, I can't repeat. The censors would have a ball home.
Number 2, Deacon Jones, the Sack Master. Deacon Jones, one of the original members of the fearsome foursome, was so dominant that he literally invented the term sack. Before Jones, taking down the quarterback was just another tackle, but Deacon made it an art form, leading the charge on opposing signal callers with such ferocity that he earned the nickname the Secretary of Defense. What made Jones even more feared was his infamous head slap, a technique that sent offensive linemen reeling. Imagine getting hit upside the head by a 6'5", 270-pound monster while trying to protect your quarterback. That head slap was so effective and so brutal, it was eventually banned by the NFL. But by then, Jones had already made his mark as one of the most feared defensive linemen in the history of the game. Opponents knew if Deacon Jones had his sight on you, it wasn't a question of if, but when he would get you. Number 1, Dick Night Train Lane, the Human Missile.
2 players in the National Football League, every time they hit you, they tried to hurt you, and they did. One was a guy by the name of Dick Butkus, and the other is Night Train Lane.
And number 1 is none other than Dick Lane, better known as Night Train. He was a true menace in the secondary. Standing at 6'1", 194 pounds, Lane was built like a linebacker, but had the speed and instincts of a cornerback. What truly struck fear into the hearts of wide receivers was his brutal tackling style, especially his signature move, the clothesline tackle. Imagine sprinting down the field at full speed only to be met with a forearm to the neck that left you flat on your back. It wasn't just intimidating, it was dangerous. Not only could he take a receiver out of play with his vicious hits, but he was also a ball hawk, snatching 14 interceptions in his rookie season, a record that still stands today. Whether it was through turnovers or pure physical punishment, Night Train Lane made sure opponents felt his presence on every play. And that's a wrap. The 10 most feared players to ever step foot on an NFL field. From bone-crunching tackles to intimidating glares, these legends made football the brutal, high-octane sport we know and love. Who did we miss? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. and smash that bell for hard-hitting NFL content just like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.